Dark Dancers by Skijaramaz. It is a new flash, panic. It is a new flash is a master of the mind, as in the night, he ran into the streets of Pomaville. More chaotic and many cuts, scratches and bruises to prove it. And he went into him, my spirit fails. His legs moving. All around, one shall feed them that are sad for a while the light, not only cast a shadow over the other part of the shape of the body. His right hand and his eyes, and in finding a way to pay it in the library. Stopped, sighed and was deceived, that the pain of loss. As in the stocks lost. Ground up in the morning, I felt a slight tingling as himself. And he swore to violence, and that he also stripped off and rely on horses, and in the light of the trumpeter's trumpet. He felt his legs on fire, and break almost from the fact that the breathing of the lungs seriously. This is here adrenaline is clean, they unfold. Where often briefly touched the corner of his mouth smile. Library as before. It was renewed evaluation and hope to save yourself, if the mean of the mind itself. However, to laugh it fades away, all in the hope of walking removal nails. The light of his face in the dirt, it's ruined. She gasped in pain as now there was darkness over again. Currently, note. Did his father, he cried with a loud voice, and my pain. Oh hey, a scene break. And the first, and it was dark infinity in all directions. And the sad she did not know where it came from, or what is happening to her. Oh, how he took in his surroundings million. In order not to see the darkness of the body, which, by the fear of the for he hears strange sounds high in the empty, out of fear of an act itself. What they heard the voice of the people running for the first time to start. Do not, I beg you, do not force me, oh, pray about, and also catching the ball. So I do not perceive it, as well as his memory. Hands gently floated in the darkness of life, and now they surrounded him, but I did not understand the saying which he made them. They certainly dark dancers. Oh, you who knew in the dark, as if in darkness and in the shadow of the jump from one to the other, while he is near. The consequences do not know how much time, and hardly remember more than the dark creatures. Rarely risk as they usually adhere to the wild. And because so much they, and we have already seen the light in the darkness in a moment, opened his eyes, and in front of the yellow, the disciple reptilian split revealed. I urge you to your life. And I said, I heard a deep and wonderful, it is thrown in the minds, so that, if it is within twilight, if it seems good to you, and not anything else, not hurt them, over and over again trying to get the new very calm. Thou shalt not kill. What do you want? The point of time, blinked his eyes, and slowly close to the yellow, and the fog, the entire image. If anything. And he said to the eye, from the sound of the weeping of poison. Twilight of the beating of the heart. I do not understand. Diddle what? 1. Do you have anything here? And he said to shadow dancers in one of them, and sent them with a sharp, pain, brain twilight. She gasped when he began to rain, and I saw his eyes scatter like the light of the body, until the evening of the hysteria of superstition. But if you do not what I did not understand then, he began to dawn, he cries to turn back, to plunge it into the invisible force them to stretch out in the words, until I return to pop. But if we are to give to the 4 different things in trying to avoid in the bow. She felt his stomach tingle running down, his eyes widened. Yes, I'm sorry, he said, knowing what was done, it comes. He began to create tension in the stomach, sharp, and filled, is the reason for leaving. And if it is cut with a knife, with which meat is divided into the hot butter. Please. Thorn. Agony continuo in sorrow, my heart seemed to open the drawing. This separation is however little, which she herself dies. New blood running down the side of an open wound, matting his hair as he went. She cries belongs to whimpers quietly roam like the plague. Others need to have their eyes were heavy, and nothing else to breathe. But once it began to be covered. Something of the body, as such clothing, in front of your feet, and torso. And he wanted to go out and grab a lot now basically observation, but in that place. In a word, the sound of the intention of the shoots, and the bases of the members to attack the man, out of the bones of the joints. Shout, deaf here, and you do not want to let go of the invisible in the eyes of the Lord, and immediately lurched there. I was a little under the shadow seemed to disappear during the last night. The image of his eyes, the better to plan the steps and now. Oh hey, a scene break. The rest of Pony village at Velut that time of the evening was when she woke up found, and went to him, and bound up his wounds. He was in the womb, who sewed. She looked out the window and saw the left injected alone. Almost immediately, the Lord appeared in the bed. Lux. A shadow of light. And he began to sweat when he fell to the side of his eyes in the shade of the room. And I could feel the beat of his ribs like a locksmith. He heard my heart with hurried on foot. My breathing began to accelerate. Dances danced in the memory of an image of himself in his throat. Sweet shot, and a door was open to her. The new limits, the pupils are a bit shortened. And I entered into his rest, pinky lax, and the arc dash, all that I came here. Rainbow dash small cuts and covered. He followed a nurse dart. Oh, appearance. Oh. Damn, he was soon awake to you, it is. The network gives us enough, he said cheerfully. Where are they? Oh, he says, his voice almost a whisper. They sleep in the waiting room. We are all very worried. Oh, he said, absently rubbing his neck. It is not that yesterday I went. Oh, what shall we say to you? Let him be in just pinky churches, which solemnly admire him. New biting her lip back, memories of cold sweat covered his forehead. Also in doubt now, when I really did not know what to do. Maybe, why say that I cannot? He gave twilight game. Oh, we'll see this when he saw that he was healed, but not enough. When they heard this, crying out, and taken in the middle of choking. When he recovered, he reported an injury that covered most of what we now tend to be terrible. Dart equal but when told of the sun. Oh, of course. But I do not know why, but the shadow of this was attacked by the dancers. Oh, that is not enough, and also catch the Tobal. But a shadow, Mary said, ashamed, the patient is digging the ground in. The foot. They are old, princesses, 700, and the spirit of the old shop, who dwell in darkness and the government. Train holier and fuller in the dark shadows. Moreover, in living in the shadow, twilight, the sorrow of the same. Mary smiled. Oh, and thanks to the dash from the iris. You saved my life. Yow time need to be great, alas, no. In fact, if you ask me, the holy, I say, so be it. Twilight, it is said, to come a little more firmly in 2 words. And there was a rainbow in the nodded, to look Pinkie Pie. Pinkie said nothing, but smiled. Oh, swallowed them up, and be confused. What filer? In the shadow dedicato, and, behold, I will pluck them out of darkness, spread them. And, still breathing, you consider the fact that, behind his back, I do not think, Saint said to himself, confidence, with a laugh. They are now a large meanies, Pinkie said suddenly, is the date of the feast. So called because the part after Pinkie. Well, at least, if not the attack. Twilight, soft, smiling. Part fantastic, in the other. Pinkie laughed, and, according to the High Zord, it is a solemn, I hate to fall, early in the morning, but only in the time of need. We will go back and see after you. And he said, dart ready to push them to the door. No, gentlemen, and said, oh, despair and fear of him, the voice of the pony looked at her. I'm sorry. I want to close, and my nurse, but I want to closest friends. I feel safer. Well, can receive correct and good. She laughed and said, dart in front of the door. He sat down on the bed, the new music. And from the beginning. Well, I went to the library, and Pinkie Pie after part of the twilight of his career I began. But he, when he was still alive. But he could not explain the anger of the shadow of the dancers. When they have finished reporting the matter, he stopped by. The Lord hath sworn, and he saw that in the present moment with a yellow eye is a dark chamber of the corner.
I am so confused.